Stop it. Get some help.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Hello and welcome. My name is Anders and I am what I like to call a novice mechanic. Probably one of the best located in this garage that I'm in right now. And I am going to be working on this old 2011 Porsche Panamera. Today we're going to be replacing some miscellaneous parts at the front because when I was driving last, it was making this weird squeaky noise. Which turned out to be a different issue. But we ended up fixing a lot of issues from the past that kind of have been going on this car for 30 or 40,000 miles now. And I must say the car does ride a little bit better now. So what you see me doing here is I'm starting to take off the upper control arm, but I wasn't able to get it out, so I end up taking out the strut as well. So I'm loosening the strut mounts because the strut is in the way. Here I'm using an 18mm to release the upper control arm from the steering knuckle. Now, this is the bolt that connects the sway bar link to the strut, and you definitely need to take this out. If you want to get the strut out, you need to end up taking this out. And after I end up taking it out, I actually end up looking at the thing and I'm like, oh, perfect, I can take my strut out. But as I'm pulling it out, this is when I realized that this is a 4-wheel drive car. And in other things that I've seen, the drive shaft was not there. But in this car, there happens to be a drive shaft there. So I wasn't able to take it out, but I ended up finding a creative way around this. And let's be honest, the creative solution wasn't very creative. I ended up realizing that if I just drop the suspension or the lower control arm low enough, and then just kind of pull the shock down far enough, I'm able to still pull that bolt out. Now, when I took it apart, you almost have to attack from both the top and the bottom, hence the two different shots. The bottom has the really long bolt that goes all the way through, and there's actually two, one on each side, and it goes all the way through the body into the engine bay.
All right, so Andrew showed me this part that it's broken. One of the clips is broken, and he went online and found that to get this thing out is hard without breaking this thing. May not have removed this inner pin. So this inner circle right here, we can release that and take the pressure off the 4 pins on the outside, 3 of which are surviving on this one.
Oh yeah, that's my dad. And what he's helping out with is he's helping remove the height position sensor that's stuck to the upper control arm from the car so that we can put it on the new part.
So there's our plastic pin that's spacing these 4 gaps. Why are you laughing? Okay, I've got 2 of the 4. And this thing's toast. Check this out. See how much movement there is in that? That one's bad. This one was really bad. Oh, this one was coming in and out.
I would really like to say that old part was shot just to make me feel better, but in all reality, it wasn't terrible, but I'm glad that we replaced it. And after that ride height sensor is put onto the new part, it's good to go in. And it was fairly easy to put in, is what I would say if I were lying. It was a pain.
There you go. Ooh, you're close. You're in. Oh. Camera shot.
Did you hit it? Oh yeah, no, you did. It's gonna feel like.
Alright, I just pushed it in a little bit. So you gotta lock
That's
it from
good.
the other side and then.
This one's a pain. If you want to try and work on this one with me. Some guy's gonna have to be up here blind, trying to like Tap it in, all right. If you want to help me with that, but yeah, this one's a pain. I'll try and put it in the right place, and I'll give you the light. If you want to be up top. But yeah, this one's gonna suck. Yeah, I'm not.
The bolt came out?
Well, it just slipped back, so I just pushed it.
I can't even get my hand down there.
So you may have noticed that things were a little off in the last clip. That's because that part is impossible to get back in. Both me and my dad were on it. He was holding it from the top, even though we couldn't see it. Yeah, so it's in like this little valley that we didn't want to take the parts off for. It appeared that there had been some like air conditioning parts there, maybe a fan or just a box, an air filter, and we didn't really want to take it off, or at least I didn't want to take it off. So I thought we could tag team it and get it on, but I think that ended up making it more difficult. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to mention in the Porsche certified manual on taking this apart, you're gonna need a grinder because 1 or 2 or 10 bolts are gonna end up getting stuck somehow, and you're gonna have to figure out a way to get it off. Okay, now on to the lower control arm, where you will probably be needing an 18mm and what I like to call like a shark socket. Porsche sells them. They're more for like struts. And I ended up buying one, but I realized that if you really need to, you can just use a vice grip to take this bolt apart, or at least just hold it on while you unscrew it from the other side. So no need to go waste your money on an $18 socket. Just use a vice grip if you got one. And don't mention it, but I had to use a breaker bar on this bolt, and it still didn't move. And I came to learn that that was actually because the bolt ends up having huge issue with it because of something we did. Shouldn't have taken this long, honestly. But I'm at a point where... look at how well I'm doing. I've replaced one part. Are you proud of me? But here's the thing, I can't get this ball joint out. I've tried pretty much everything, as you can tell, the jack's there. I've tried everything except for burning it. And this won't come out. So I need to replace this part. And I'm so close. That's out, that's out. But this, oh, that's out as well. But this isn't out. So if anyone has any ideas, I've tried pretty much everything. Like I even tried this, didn't work. Yeah, this is the, doesn't look much different, but I've used every one of those. Anyways, please help. What do I do when an issue comes up? Or per se, a roadblock? I ignore it, and I work on taking apart anything else I can, just to feel that sense of accomplishment. I was in need of a dopamine hit, and so I started taking apart the other bolts that held in the lower control arm, and there's actually like 2 long bolts, which one of them you actually see me shimming down here. No, yeah, that's what I'm doing. So the Porsche mechanic book said, cut the bolt out, and you know, what am I supposed to do? So I had to cut the bolt out. Also because that front end, yeah, that front end had a hit a little while ago. Not my fault, but it did have a hit. Okay, so like after like 2 weeks, I don't know how long it's been, we finally finished. We got this guy out and replaced this one. Did not do many parts down here. Was gonna replace this little sway bar linkage, but decided not to. And obviously there's a few things I need to do. Finish this side, but I do want to tell you guys what the main issue was. So old parts, they'll probably be crashed. I mean, when I looked through them, like they weren't that bad. I think the worst ones were like these, when you can barely see them You can barely see it move. I mean, it's definitely worn out, so it's good that we replaced these. These didn't look so bad. Like, I'm looking at these, and I mean, they weren't terrible. This one had a little crack there. These, it appears that these outlets crack sooner. And there may have been, well, that one was bad. So this one was on the passenger side. And I want to tell you about it. So, like 3 or so years ago, we got in a crash and it ended up like hitting that side. And we had been working on this bolt forever, and it must have just bent, like inside of it, it just bent a little bit. So we couldn't pull it out. So we cut it. Yeah, we did the only logical thing, cut it, and then tapped it back. I think I'm gonna try and tap it out just to see what it looks like really quick. Okay, so here is one end of the bolt. This was the other one that was stuck in it, and the only like noticeable scratch is that. I could blame that on myself, but that's more towards like the end. And I remember this one being really hard to get out, but I think the crash may have bent it a little bit like, yeah. So glad we got that out and replaced a bolt and the whole suspension while we were at it, I guess. Now, this probably was the best part. I'm kind of just putting it all back together now. You see me hammering it pretty hard in this one, and that's not my fault. And no other car should have this issue. What I think had happened, as I kind of mentioned in the last video, is when we got in that crash, I think those valleys like bent in and made it like tighter on that lower control arm. And I also think that bolt's bent. So I kind of leave my mark on some of these with, you know, revealing a little bit of the aluminum because I hammered it and I don't really have a rubber mallet. And so that's on me. Now, if you were paying attention, you would have noticed that as I spun those bolts, the control arm would go in and out. And that's actually by design. That is Porsche's way of helping you align your car. And what that does exactly is it dictates the camber on the car. Whether you want negative or positive camber, you can just spin that bolt and tilt your wheels out. For this application, we wanted it to be as straight as possible. And unfortunately, we didn't have an alignment machine, so I eyeballed it. And that worked so far. You do not want to know how long this part took me. It was insanely difficult. I have no idea who put this in before, but truly whoever did decided to not only glue it down, but to JB weld it together. The Porsche mechanics really didn't want this part coming out. So for the next like 2 or 3 days, I was just baffled on how to take this apart. I tried all my press tools and really just everything. And at the end of the day, I ended up going and renting this little prong that I just hammered into that thing for just, I don't even know how long. And when that didn't work, I took a torch to it, and I even tried putting the jack under it in one of my last clips. You saw that. I tried everything, and it just would not come off. So what you see me doing here is I ended up taking off the brake caliper and the little heat shield or dust shield, whatever you want to call it, just to get behind on the other side. And I ended up hammering it out, and it worked. Like after, I kid you, 5 minutes. I don't even know how long. It was like 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So I ended up popping the part out. And luckily for me, like I said, wasn't too hard after I got that new part. Although returning the part ended up being extremely difficult. I had rented from, I think, AutoZone. And I went to go return it at a store that I didn't rent it from. And they're like, oh yeah, like, that's totally fine. Do you have a receipt? And I'm like, no, the guy I talked to on the phone said I didn't need a receipt. And he's like, well, we don't see that you rented it. And I'm like, but doesn't your system like communicate with them? He's like, yeah, it usually does, but we're not seeing it. You're probably gonna have to go back to the place you rented it from to return it because you don't have a receipt. And I was like, all right. So I go to the other place and I start going through the process with them, and they're like, yeah, we don't see that you rented it at all. And I'm like, are you serious? I mean, yeah, I rented it. Like, I have a charge on my credit card. I can show you that. But the receipt had gone to an email that had been hacked. So we didn't even have access to the receipt. And I just sat there for 20 minutes talking to these guys. I'm like, well, like, you guys should have a parts catalog. I rented this, like, it had been, like, probably a week or two. And so I told them, you should have a parts catalog, and you should see that I had rented this 2 weeks ago. And I'd like it if you could return it. And they're like, okay, let's see what we can do. So they search it up, and lo and behold, the part number, the exact same, like, tool part number, and my name right there. And I was like, I swear we had tried searching up both of those and not found it. Like, how did you find it now? So anyways, it was a pain, but we ended up getting it returned. So after about 14 days, 20 Red Bulls, 2 Adderall, and 1 brain cell, I was able to figure it out. And I replaced it all, finished it, got it in the car, but it turns out we have another issue. So I will continue to work on the car, of course, and I'd love to keep posting videos. So if you thought that this was mildly interesting, or maybe even learned something along the way, I would greatly appreciate if you subscribed and if you follow my socials.
Set up. I hate that car, and that car's ugly.